Mysteries and Mimosas. My name is Max Sterling, and I'm here with my co-host and also my amazing wife, Arya.
Hi, everyone.
Happy Monday, Arya, and welcome back to another Mystery Monday episode. I know we took last week off unexpectedly, but life happens, so we're back, and I'm excited. Today we have an important episode for you, but before we dive in, here's a quick reminder. If you enjoy our show, please take a moment to rate us 5 stars and click that subscribe button.
And don't forget to follow us on social media for the latest updates and behind-the-scenes content. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Mysteries and Mimosas Podcast. If you haven't figured out how to connect with us on Discord, I've added a link at the top of our website so you can easily find it. We hope to grow our Discord server with all of our listeners so you can join in on the conversation. We would love to hear your feedback and your theories about the cases we cover, which brings me to our next order of business. We started a Pet of the Week segment every Monday, and so far we have enough pet pictures to get us through the month of August. So send us your pet pics by emailing us at mysteriesandmimosas@gmail.com.
Our friends over at Michael and Jeremy, Steal Your Podcast, submitted this week's pet picture. And if you hadn't had a chance to listen to their podcast, you're really missing out. Those guys are hilarious. They've been our biggest supporters, actually, since we started this podcast, and we love them. So this week's adorable companion was sent in by my boy Michael. He sent in a great shot of his cat, who goes by the name Rosie Jr. Flowers. I like to call him RJF. Actually, that's what my nickname is for that cat. RJF is a gray and white ball of fur and claws with a stunning long tail and tall pointy ears. You can see RJF by visiting us on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, so apparently Michael from Michael and Jeremy Steal Your Podcast is a cat person, not a dog person.
He must be. Must be a cat person. I'm a dog person.
I'm a dog
through
person.
And through.
I like all animals, really, but I am a dog person at heart.
I just find that name Rosie Jr. Flowers hilarious. He said his daughter named that cat.
I love it.
Which makes sense, but I'm kind of thinking he probably guided that decision.
I was going to ask how he came up with that name. That's cute.
It is cute. And if anybody's wondering, I wasn't sure. I told Michael, hey, I don't want to assume your cat's gender. Is this a boy or a girl? And he said, Rosie Jr. Flowers is a man.
Oh,
so,
okay. Well, I'm glad you clarified that.
I am too.
We might not have known from the name alone.
Well, with a name like Rosie, I was,
not just
assuming
Rosie.
that it was a girl.
Rosie Flowers, even.
Yeah, Junior's the only one that insinuates it's a man. I'd like to see Rosie Senior Flowers.
Yes.
Anyway, just a reminder, Mystery Monday is a short episode where we shine light on lesser-known cases that deserve more attention, and today's case is about 8-year-old Ameera Deadrick from Houston, Texas. Born in October of 2008, Ameera and her mom, Tiara McWilliams, left Houston and moved to Wisconsin shortly after Ameera was born. Apparently, Tiara left for Wisconsin to escape an abusive relationship with Ameera's dad, and his name is Anthony Deadrick. Eventually, Tiara relocated to Illinois with Ameera, and in 2013, Tiara reluctantly allowed Ameera to spend the summer with Anthony and Anthony's girlfriend. Because remember, Anthony's still living in Houston at this time, so it's a long-distance co-parenting situation. When it was time for Ameera to return home, Anthony refused to meet Tiara to return Ameera. According to Tiara, she traveled to Houston in 2014 to bring Ameera back home, but Anthony refused to let her go. With no court-ordered custody agreement in place, Tiara had no choice but to return home without her daughter.
Wow, so she sends Ameera for the summer in 2013 and tries to go get her in 2014, and he won't let her have her.
Well, yeah, she sent her for the summer in 13 and then was calling, trying to say, hey, when can we meet? I want to, bring her back, enroll her in school. All the things that co-parents do, and he wouldn't let her come. So she goes out there in 2014 to try to bring her home, and Anthony wouldn't let her take her.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in situations like that where you don't have a court order, there's not much the police can do, right? Because it's his daughter, and there's nothing stipulating, who has custody or, is there joint custody or what the situation is. So that's devastating.
Yeah, it is devastating, and you're right. Without a court order custody agreement signed by a judge, law enforcement's hands are really tied. And it's actually more common than people realize, the amount of call volume that police get to do some sort of civil standby for a custody dispute or a custody exchange, where the mom says, or the dad says, hey, the other parent won't give me my child back, but they don't have a custody agreement. And so for those reasons, police can't enforce that. They can't make that decision. So over the next couple years, Tiara visited Ameera several times and remained in touch with her with phone calls and text messages, and continued to try to convince Anthony to give Ameera back, but Anthony still refused.
So he was allowing her to take her for visitations in the Houston area then, or?
So she was in constant telephone and text message conversation, and she'd go down there to visit Ameera, but for whatever reason, Anthony wasn't letting her take her back home to Illinois. So I don't know if those visits were happening at Anthony's house or if he was allowing her to take Ameera, because if he did allow her to take Ameera like to dinner or something, there's nothing stopping Tiara from picking up and going back to Illinois, and then Anthony's in that situation.
I'm curious, too, during all of this, if either parent filed in court. Did you see that in your research?
No, there's nothing to indicate that either one of them ever had any kind of a custody agreement. So, and that's pretty common, among parents. People co-parent without going to court and having those, stipulations put in place for decision making. A lot of times they don't do anything about child support, and they just kind of do this on their own. Well, when you do that and there's nothing written and signed by a judge, law enforcement, like we said, have no power to enforce anything.
No, I get that. I was just saying in this situation, if that were the case, I'm just surprised that somewhere along the line after he has taken her and won't let her return, that someone didn't file in court to make some type of permanent order. Yeah.
And, Tiara could have done that. Anthony could have done that. There was nothing stopping either one of them from filing something in court. And if Tiara had any suspicion that Ameera was in trouble, she could have done an emergency protection, hearing where they get a lawyer and they petition the court to say, hey, I think my child's in danger. But probably she didn't have enough information at that time to really think Ameera was in danger, because, he still allowed her to talk to her on the phone and text message and come visit her in Texas.
Yeah, so I'm just surprised that neither one of them have ever gone to file permanent paperwork with the courts, especially after Anthony cut off all communication between Tiara and Ameera.
Yeah, you would think that it'd be pretty easy to just petition the court to say, hey, this is my child. She left in 2013. I'm not allowed to take her back. She has a legal right to have at least parenting time, visitation, whatever. But in the spring of 2016, Tiara learned Anthony was arrested on unrelated charges and he was serving time in jail. But Tiara still had no contact with Ameera. Tiara learned Ameera was never enrolled in school in Houston. She had never been to the doctor. And on July 1st of 2016, Tiara's concern for Ameera grew, so she filed her missing person report.
Yeah, at this point, it's been 3 years and she's never gone to school or a doctor or anything.
Right.
Yeah, I would be very concerned.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to push any blame on Tiara by any means, but don't you think there would be some sort of curiosity to, like, hey, how's her grades doing? Like, how's her health? But none of those things ever happened.
Yeah.
It very well could be the situation that Tiara's reaching out to Anthony saying, hey, how's she doing in school? Oh, she's fine. Everything's fine. And if you're not on the same page when you're co-parenting, you miss a lot of information. You have to be able to be willing to give and take in those co-parenting situations, regardless of how much you like or dislike the other parent. Anthony said Tootie worked in the healthcare industry and may have lived in the Bordeaux apartments in Waco, Texas. But when police checked on that address provided by Anthony, nobody ever lived at that house by the name Linda or Tootie. Anthony was eventually released from custody, but he has not provided law enforcement with any more information about Ameera's whereabouts, and Ameera has never been seen or heard from again. The Center for Missing and Exploited Children has released an age progression photo of Ameera, which you can find on our Facebook and Instagram pages. So it kind of gives you an idea of, it's been since 2016 since she's been gone, and the age progression photos that NECMEC does really give you an idea of what that child or that missing person could look like today, because obviously she looks much different now than she did when she went missing. So one of our sources for this episode is Fox 26 News. When they asked Tiara what she believed may have happened to Ameera, she said, God has given me peace. I had to get sober to get it, but he's given me peace, and I know my daughter is with him. Ameera was almost 8 years old at the time of her disappearance, and in October of 2024, she will be 16 years old. She's an African-American female with black hair and brown eyes, and when she was reported missing, she was 4 foot 3 inches tall and only weighed 50 pounds. If you have any information about the disappearance or location of Ameera Deadrick, you're encouraged to contact Sergeant Tony Carter at 512-936-1673, or you can make a report by calling the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678.
That's a really sad case.
Yeah, it is really sad. You know, you have a child, you try to do the right thing to build and foster that relationship with that child's dad, and then you lose her.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see, because initially she went to live with her dad and his girlfriend, just to see, what girlfriend says about that living situation, how long she actually lived with them. Was she still living there when Ameera went missing? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. There's not any information that I was able to find about whether or not police questioned the girlfriend. But just the simple fact that he goes to jail and comes up with this crazy story that he just gave Ameera to some person at a convenience store named Tootie.
Yeah, that he doesn't even know their last name or any information about them.
Right. So I'm just guessing that he probably wasn't with his girlfriend at that time anymore. Otherwise, he would have given her to the girlfriend.
Right.
Or had the girlfriend watch after Ameera and said, "Hey, Tiara, can you come down here and pick up Ameera? I'm in jail." Which is why I think that this whole story about Linda or Tootie is fabricated, and most likely why Tiara has resigned to the fact that Ameera is probably no longer with us.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Mysteries and Mimosas. And if you have any information about this case, please do the right thing and make a report. In the meantime, let's raise our mimosa glasses to Ameera. Cheers.
Cheers.